Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to look at a case study of how media creates culture in South Africa. For the purposes of this lesson, you need to read through the theory in your textbooks on page 130 to 131 and use the PowerPoint slides as a guide to respond to the questions that are in the slides. Also remember that in order to excel in your assessments, you are expected to go above and beyond what is in your textbooks. You will need to take notes of what is said in class and make inferences based on the information in your textbooks. Now let us recap the previous lesson. In the previous lesson, we learned about the conceptualization of subcultures and the trademarks of some of these subcultures that are around the world and in South Africa specifically. We also looked at some of the factors that influence and create these subcultures and how the media influences the subcultures. When we look back at the history of South Africa, we will remember that South Africa is a country that has a history in which there was a dominant culture versus the dominated cultures. This domination was facilitated by the apartheid regime, and this regime attempted in many ways to limit or control Black cultural practices, although they could not succeed because Black people often found ways of continuing to practice their cultures, although they were controlled. The Africans or the white culture was a dominant culture in many spheres of life, including in government, in social settings, and in the media, while the Black culture and the indigenous languages were marginalized. Because of this situation, Afrikaans was the dominant language in the media, and most of the media broadcast in Afrikaans. When things changed and we got into the post apartheid era, the media became more diversified and it accommodated the broadcasting of other cultures as well as broadcasting in other languages. This was a very important step in harnessing the linguistic and cultural diversity of South Africa. Now, in this new era, radio and broadcasting media had the biggest influence on people because they are able to access information easily and radio is cheap. The media also started broadcasting in other South African languages, so you could get your information in Sepedi, in Sesotho, in isiXhosa. We could now all access information in our own languages, and this enhanced information dissemination because even people that could not speak Afrikaans and that could not speak English now had information in their own languages. What also happened was that there was a range of cultural programming, and this enabled the youth to learn about their cultures, but also about other cultures that surround them. So they were able to know what their cultural practices are, and they were also able to know what other people's cultural practices are. And this linguistic and cultural diversity became more common and it became more appreciated by citizens because now we could all learn about cultures, other cultures in our own language. Now, having looked at this situation, read the case study and the PowerPoint slides and attempt to answer the following question. What cultural practices among the Black communities did the government try to limit or control? What cultural practices were dominant during that era? Do you think that the diversification of the media in the post apartheid era has benefited Black cultures in any way? And explain how so. How has social media influenced cultures in South Africa? And how do you think the radio promotes cultural diversity? And here, provide examples of how you think radio promotes cultural diversity. Now, looking into your communities now, how westernized is your community? Can you explain some of the indicators of this westernization that you see in your communities? And do you think that the ideals of a rainbow nation are those we should strive towards? On top of answering these questions, also discuss the following article with reference to the case study. The article can be found in this link that has been provided in your PowerPoint slides. And also do activity 4C on page 131 of your textbook. I hope that you are going to enjoy this lesson, and we will meet in the next lesson where we are talking about representation in the media. Thank you.